Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're here to talk about what is the best EV, electric vehicle, to buy in 2023. And this is brought to you by Double D Salsa, very hot, currently not available in stores or anywhere else because I make it myself, so I'm bringing it to you. And Tostitos. Would you like some Tostitos with your salsa? No, Tostitos not sponsoring me. But these restaurant-style Tostito baked lay thingies for your salsa, just want to start it out, you know, give it a little plug. I am a shareholder in PepsiCo. So, which is the best EV to buy in 2023? It's halfway through the year and you're thinking, I want an electric vehicle. I don't want a plug-in electric vehicle. I want a real, everyday, stand-up electric vehicle. Well, I'm here to tell you what is the best one to buy. Well, it's not a Tesla. Or is it a Tesla? Or what would it be? So here we are. We got to set it out. So one, criteria. When it comes to the best EV on the market, you got to know what the criteria is. How are they rating them? So when someone says this is the best one, or some company, more importantly, say, we got the best EV. Come on down, General Motors. We got ourselves some bolts. I got a bolt bunker for the old ones, but these new ones, okay? Like, come on. What's the criteria? So, if you are like me, where you live, where it can be 30 degrees Celsius during the day, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, or minus 40 in the wintertime, Celsius, that's minus 40 Fahrenheit. Remember, minus 20 degrees Celsius is approximately minus 5 or 6 Fahrenheit. So, you know, going into the thing. 500 kilometers is approximately 300 miles. 5/8 of a mile to a kilometer. So if it says 100 kilometers, times it by 5, divided by 8, and now you know how many miles you got. So, what should I buy? I've saved my money like I did for 3.5 years, and I want an EV because they're fast, they're fun to drive, and I cannot tell you how much fun it is to drive. I lent my Lightning to somebody for a couple of days. They went and bought one. That's how intoxicating it can be. But here we are to talk about the best EV of 2023, and I want to set it straight, the record straight. One, this vehicle must absolutely go 500 kilometers on a charge down the highway at 110 kilometers an hour, 70 miles an hour. No, that's not 70 miles an hour. Sorry, I apologize. It's almost 70 miles an hour. It must do this when it is freezing outside, 32 Fahrenheit or 0. Must go 500 kilometers, period. If it doesn't do that, it's not on the list. Just as simple as that, it's not on the list. If you live in San Diego where it's nice and warm, or southern Florida or something like that, or somewhere around the world where it never gets cold, and you never have to use the heater, you're just maybe the air conditioner but nothing else, then if it doesn't go 500 kilometers a charge, still don't buy it. Because you're crazy. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay? 500 kilometers on a charge is number one. Number two, has to be able to sit 5 people. 5 adults. 5 adults. None of this third row seating stuff. I see these Tesla videos where I get a Model Y with a third. Disgusting. They shouldn't even make it. It's unsafe. It's somebody trying to promote something that nobody will find useful at all. I mean, your wife isn't going to be able to put her purse in the car if you have that third row seating. So forget that. Seats 5. 500 kilometers on a charge. You understand? Has to be able to do that. So, knowing that, okay, what vehicles can I buy? Well, I hate to tell you this, the list is short. And I know there's lots of EVs out there. There's the Ioniq, there's Volkswagen, there's Ford, there's Tesla, Porsche, Rivian, Let's go down the list. There's just lots of them out there, and you're like, well, I went down to my GM and they had some bolts, which apparently they're not making anymore. So I don't want one of those. I went down to Ford, they got the Mach-E. I went down to Tesla, they got the Model Y. Model 3 is a little too small, so let's go Model Y. Oh, I went to Porsche, at a Porsche Cayenne, and it was only $175,000. Oh, woohoo! Let's talk EVs. But what it boils down to, 500 kilometers on a charge, seats 5, with a little bit of storage, just a little bit. So which ones qualify? I would say Model Y and F-150 Lightning. I would love to put the Mach-E in there, but it doesn't go 500 kilometers on a charge. No matter how big you get the battery. Too bad, Ford, you're blowing it. Should go 550. Now, let me tell you, I used to say in all my videos 550, but even Tesla's cutting down their range on their battery packs because the MBAs have gotten hold of these CEOs and say, you know, you could produce more vehicles if you put smaller battery packs in there. But of course, nobody wants the smaller battery pack. Nobody. I would not, if I live in an area where it gets below 0 or freezing, buy a vehicle that gets less than 500 kilometers on a charge. Highway, 70 miles an hour. Just wouldn't do it. Waste of money. Just an absolute waste of money. So, what do you got? Model Y, F-150 Lightning. That's it. Long range in both. The longest range you can get in both vehicles. Nobody else touched. There's nothing else out there that goes that far. And it's just simple, nothing else. So, Model Y is a quarter the size of the F-150 Lightning. And they're about the same price where I live. The long range Model Y is $89,000 as long as you don't get it in red or blue, which I would get in red or blue. I never buy a black or a white vehicle. I'm not one of those people. So I get hosed another $3,000 because I want a different color than black. As Henry Ford says, we've got all the colors as long as you like black. So, I mean, that's just how it is. So let's just stick with the $90,000 plus GST. Sales tax, destination, all the rest. You're gonna, put the 3M on, all the little extras you're gonna add here and there. Comes out to about $100,000. F-150 Lightning. Again, I'm gonna order an XLT, but I'm going to put 3M on, the glass coverage, all the rest. I'm gonna be $100,000, maybe $110,000. Both longest range, dual motors, okay, is the criteria. They have to have that. The longest range, dual motor, seats 5, and some storage. Well, let's compare. The F-150 Lightning, I drive one, so I'm biased and favor that vehicle over the Model Y. The Model Y does not have a front dash for speedometer and whatnot. I think this is a Air. I think it's distracted driving to look to the right and look, okay, at a screen. Not the mirror to see if someone's there, not the mirror to see if there's someone there, not to shoulder check, but to look at a screen to see how fast you're driving, to look at a screen to see what radio station you're on, to look at a screen how much distance you have or fuel you have and all that kind of stuff. To look to the right and down, I think is distracted driving. So it does not have a front display. They don't care. They don't think it's distracted driving. I do. After 35,000 kilometers in 1 year on an F-150 Lightning, I am very happy that I have a front dash. Very, very, very happy. If it didn't have it, I would not be so happy with my vehicle and be looking for something else. Honestly, I'd be looking for something else. So, which one wins? Everyone says the Model Y goes further on a charge, it only has a battery pack that's this big and look how far it goes. It gets more kilometers per kilowatt. But in Canada, it's how many kilowatt hours did you use to go 100? Well, the Model Y only uses 19 kilowatt hours to go 100, and Ford F-150 Lightning uses 27 or 30 on the highway. And it's always between 26 and 32, depending on how windy it is. The Model Y is more efficient. The Model Y is 1/4 the size. I can put 5 people in my F-150 Lightning, 5 pieces of luggage in the front, and because I have a flip cover on the back box, 5 sets of golf clubs, 5 more pieces of luggage, a cooler, 5 coolers, 2 bikes, and the list just goes on. You're not even fitting in your Model Y with all the stuff I can put in my Lightning. I get storage under the stairs. I can put 3 full-size 6'2" people in the back of my F-150 Lightning, and they have leg space, tons of it, and I mean tons of it. So other than the long tripping charging standard, which is not part of this video, if you're picking an EV to go road tripping, there's only one. Model Y. That's it. If you got the money for a Model S long range or a Model X long range, they're 150, 70,000 in the country I live in. So if you got the money for that, they're in there, but you know, they're so niche and hard to get. I took those out. Model Y. You want to drive across the country? Model Y. Just hoping there's only 2 of you, because you're not putting 5 people in there driving across the country. You could do it with a Lightning if you know, once we get the Tesla charging network and a few other things. But no way you're doing 5,000 kilometers in an EV driving across Canada on Highway 1, which is our Trans-Canada Highway, or in the States from New York to LA. Like, you could do it in the States, but you can't do it here. There's no way. Just no way. So road tripping is not part of the video of an EV. Towing is not part of the video for an EV. You want to tow an RV to some place that's 300 kilometers away from where you live, or 500 kilometers away from where you live, 300 miles or 150 miles from where you live, camp for the weekend, and then tow it back. Do not buy an electric vehicle. Just don't. You are not going to get any distance. Cybertruck, when it comes out, will not get any distance towing. Will not. Will not. It's not going to have a 500 kilowatt hour battery pack. Cost $500,000 if that was the case. So those are out. Towing is out, and long tripping is out. This is an EV that you can do 500 kilometers round trip, 250 out, 250 back, because there are no chargers for most of us in North America to charge on to go any further. And these 30 kilowatt hour chargers and 50 kilowatt hour chargers where you have to sit there for 3 hours and pay by the minute. I'm not doing that. Nobody's doing that. You're charging at home or you're not charging. If I'm not charging at home, I have nowhere to charge. The exit ramp to the Electrify America charging station is closed right now for repairs, so I can't even get there without making a 20-minute detour. So that's out, and there's only one of them. So the best EV to get right now, 2023, Model Y, Lightning. And the winner is Lightning. Now I know what you're going to say. I'm biased because I have a Lightning. And I just want to let you know, a friend of mine has a Model Y with the heat pump. And guess what? We did a little test. Now, he didn't want me to videotape it. I'll convince him to one of these days. Didn't want to be on video because of what he does for a living. But guess what? He only got 310 kilometers when it was minus 30. With the Model Y long range with the heat pump. That's all he got. I got 297 kilometers with my truck. So yeah, he went a little bit further during that snowstorm than I did. But not enough to really sway it to the Model Y to be better than the F-150 Lightning. And let me tell you, the interior of the Lightning is 100 times better than the interior of the Model Y. 100 times better. And I'm just comparing an XLT. I'm not even comparing the Lariat and the Platinum or Limited, whatever they call it. There's 3 versions. XLT, Lariat, Platinum. The Platinum version of the F-150 Lightning, which now takes it out, it's so much more expensive than the Model Y. Not a good comparison because it's 120,000. I can get a Model Y for 90. Okay, like that's $30,000 more. Well, that's a different category as far as I'm concerned. They got to be pretty close in price, otherwise, what's the point? But for space, utility, all the things you can do with an F-150 Lightning, and I live in an area of the country where everybody owns a truck. And we use our trucks to do things other than just drive around town. The F-150 Lightning is the best EV that you can buy in 2023. If the Mach-E did 500 kilometers on a charge, I could compare that to a Model Y. The Mach-E interior, the high-end version, the longest range version, is much nicer on the interior than the Model Y, but it would be very close. I might have to give it to the Model Y if it was comparing to a Mach-E. But the Model Y, compared to Mach-E, the Model Y goes 100 and some kilometers further for the same amount of money. You're going to take Model Y every time, even though the interior is just plain Jane, and then, you know, it's just plain Jane. Plain Jane. It's kind of sad. But anyways, there's my opinion of the best EV in 2023. There are a lot of EVs coming out, and a lot of companies, OEMs, are saying they're coming out with EVs. But here's the kicker. The final one that really pushes it over the top for the Lightning is Ford just made a deal with Tesla to use their supercharging network. And yes, I have a CCS plug, and I'll get an adapter and I can use this Tesla supercharging network. And yes, I'll have to pay more than the Tesla people, but that's okay. So road tripping might come in. I don't think road tripping and towing should be part of the equation for an EV. We are not there yet. Maybe 2030. Maybe 2030. So if you can't do an EV, get yourself a hybrid, get yourself a I wouldn't buy a plug-in hybrid. I was going to say get a plug-in hybrid, but honestly, for the money, it's just not worth it. Just get a hybrid. Get a really good hybrid. My wife's car is a Ford Escape Titanium hybrid. She averages 5.1 liters per 100 kilometers all the time. That's pretty good. So go get one of those, because they're reasonably priced. They're fun to drive, and they got lots of room, and they got lots of amenities inside of it. If you don't want that, you want to be plain Jane, blah, 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 you know, get something else. But thank you very much for tuning in. I hope Best EV of 2023 gives you a good idea of the criteria that you have to use to pick one. Because, you know, if you're just driving around the city, 200 kilometers of range is all you want. In the winter, that cuts to 100. And that's all you want because you're just driving in the city to and from work. There's other EVs out there that can work in that scenario. But please understand, you're not ever leaving your city limits. You just are not. You will not have the range. You'll be stuck at 50 kilowatt hour chargers all over the place for hours. And it'll cost a fortune to charge you up, because some of these places charge $1.50 a minute, which I think should be illegal. Per kilowatt hour is the only charge that should happen, because you charge fast, then you charge slow, then you charge fast, you charge slow. That's a whole other video. But thank you for tuning in. Go get yourself an F-150 Lightning. It is a fantastic vehicle, period. When it comes to a truck, it's number one. If it comes to an EV, it's number one. If you live in a small place and need a small parking spot and park in a small place, the longest range Model 3 or the longest range Mach-E is what I would pick. But the Mach-E just does not get the distance for me to recommend that vehicle at this time. Maybe it will, but right now, it's fun to drive, but it just doesn't go far enough. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, month, and year, and I will see you in the future with my Tostitos.